Okay, so we are up to, is this plugged in? Yes. So we are up to Mishlei 15:4, which I think we read last week, just to get the context. Marpe Lashon Eitz Chaim V'Selef Ba Shever Beruach. Not the easiest one to translate, but you could probably come up with something. Anyone?
Marpe.
Yeah.
Soft.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so are you looking at Metzudas David?
No.
Oh, interesting, because I would have assumed that is from Rofe.
Yeah.
No, like
right?
Yakha, like
No, right.
That's a
Yeah. The only thing is it is weird that there's the Aleph there. I mean, you happen to be right by the Metzudas David because he says it's Milashon Rifayon, But yeah, okay. So you say soft. Say again.
I'll translate as a soft tongue.
A soft tongue
is a tree of life.
is a tree of life.
And I don't know what itself is.
So apparently there are only two times where it uses this construct, selef, but
is it like blind?
well, so BDB here says crookedness or crooked dealing. Okay, right? Yeah, right. So that's it as a verb, right? So selef ba.
Like crookedness in it.
Yeah, and crookedness in it. Shever berua.
It's weird because it's a noun. Shever is like a shard. Is a shard in the wind?
Well, what does l'shaber mean? To break, right?
Is it break spirit?
Well, I'm curious as to why you're translating it as shard as opposed to breaking.
Because isn't shever a noun?
Yeah, I thought so.
Breaking is a breaking of.
A breaking.
Yeah, right. Is a breaking. Well, biruach.
In wind.
In spirit. Yeah, breaking wind means farting. So I don't want to say it that way. Yeah. Okay. Some things don't translate well into other languages. All right. So we got Metzudas ציון. So he says Marpe is milashon rifayon, selef inyan akum v'ivus, which is like the one I just said here, crookedness or crooked dealing. Okay. Akum is like crooked or distorted, ivus corrupt. And ruach, because he says inyano ratzon, bo ruach. So he says it's ratzon is will or desire or favor. Annoying to translate the word ratzon, right? Because it can mean different things. Okay. Yeah. So it's interesting that again, I would have, anyone else would have translated Marpe Lashon differently.
Oh, okay. When I think of Marpe, I think of David when I speak. He says Marpe.
Right.
Like,
so meaning, yeah, exactly. Right. So that's how the Targum has it, is asyuta delishna, right? Asuta is health, right? So a healing tongue. Okay, actually, let me just, I'll just describe that to the Targum. Okay, a healing tongue, healing tongue. Ilana dechaye is a tree of life. This is strange. Uda'achal min perohi nisba. And I guess he who eats from its fruits is satisfied. Now, methodologically, what do you make of the fact that the Targum translates the second half this way? Given the Hebrew. This is a methodological question that I changed my stance on last year.
Yeah, a different text.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So I think in the past I would have said, "Oh, he's somehow interpreting this," But we got to remember that there were different texts, like manuscripts of Tanakh, right? And when Ashkenaz Haggadah sat down they didn't just sit down and like canonize it all in one day, but like they had to make decisions about what was accurate and what was not. And the Targumim often are going off, well, not Oglos, but the Targumim in Nach are often going off of, manuscripts and editions that we don't have. So it's possible, I mean, I think it's likely that his version of the pasuk read differently. Yeah, Ezra?
Does that apply to Torah too?
So in Torah, I think it's going to be rarer simply because we had more, more Torah scrolls and more of a need to make it accurate because of Kriyas HaTorah, whereas opposed to Mishlei, you don't really have, Kriyas HaMishlei, unfortunately.
Well, they do have that in the Yemenite communities.
When?
Like, I think between the Marav.
Oh, yeah? Interesting. But not with the Dinei Kriya. meaning not like Haftorah or a Kris Megillah.
No.
Yeah, right. So meaning you got a chiyuv. So with Torah, you do have cases of that, but they're much rarer, and they were resolved a lot longer ago. So I think the Targumim reflect those.
Often they do change it, like in Hazino or like.
Well, so that's the thing is so you have to show me cases in Hazino, because the cases I'm familiar with off the top of my head is more interpretation, not
Right.
yeah.
Right, so I'm saying like there you'd say it's interpretation, and here we're saying it's change. So like what you're saying Torah is that because it's Torah there you're just gonna say.
I'm saying that I think the chances of it being interpretation are higher than the chances of it being like preserving a text, because I think by the time the Targumim were writing on Torah, then I think things were like settled and decided already. Yeah. Whereas the Targumim, I don't even know when the Targum Ksubim was written. Let's just check the Yisrael. So I guess we don't know either. It doesn't even say a date. Yeah. Okay, fine. All right. So then we got Metzudas. Oh, we did Metzudas ציון. Okay. Sadigon. Lashon ha'emes eitzachaim v'hasiluf ba shviras haruach. Okay. So this is like an interpretation, right? A tongue of truth is a tree of, or is the tree of life, is the tree of life. V'hasiluf ba, and corruption in it or of it. Shviras haruach is a breaking of spirit. Okay, spirit. Okay. Art Scroll has a soothing tongue is a tree of life, but corruption of it is damage of the spirit. So they say shever is damage. It's a little bit figurative. Rav Hirsch says a soothing tongue can generate a tree of life. So he's responding to the fact that it is a little weird that it's just two nouns here. Marpe lashon eitz chaim. So I would plug in the word is as the most conservative assumption, but he's saying can generate a tree of life. But vacillation, okay, a break in spirit. So he's learning siluf. I don't know if he's getting it from Akum and Ivus of like trying to get a lesson of switching out of it, or if he has a completely different theory about what siluf is. That's up for grabs. Okay, then the altar says healing speech. So he does go with healing is a tree of life, but perverse speech breaks the spirit. Okay, and then altar has one of his altar commentaries where here I'm more amenable to it. He says the Hebrew wording is crabbed. I don't know what that means. And there could be a textual problem in the verset. Here is a very literal rendering, and a perversion in it is a break in the spirit, right? So that's the most literal translation. The translation for clarity, meaning his translation, repeats speech, more literally tongue, from the first verset, because in it, ba refers to speech. So healing speech is a tree of life, perverse speech. So he injects the antecedent of the pronoun ba, or the preposition ba, into the second half.
Could
Yeah.
Bob be an eitz chaim?
The Selef ba. I always forget eitz is Zachar and Nekeva. Eitzim. Yeah. Can you really always? Yeah. Okay. So that's masculine, right? So I think it doesn't work that way. Yeah. Right. Okay. So there are translations here. Let me just make this a little bit smaller so we can see it on the screen. Why are these things all whited out? That's weird. Okay, anyway, let's just see if we can get this all here. Actually, I'm going to move the altar. I know you can't move the Malcolm HaMizbeach in the Mikdash, but I'm going to move the Robert altar. Okay. All right. Yeah. So what are the questions? Yeah, Sean.
What is Marpe Lashon?
Yeah. What is Marpe Lashon? So according to each, I guess, Shoresh theory, right? I'm curious what the BDB does to this. Interesting. So they say healing and cure. Interesting that they put marpe with a hey can also mean cure. I wonder if there is a I'm just looking to see if a 10-4. Yeah, fine. Yeah. All right. I'm not sure exactly how to say that, but okay. So we'll just say according to both of them. Okay, go ahead. Next questions.
What's eitz chaim?
Yeah. What is the mashal? And we're going to assume it's a mashal here, okay, of eitz chaim. And then I guess putting the two together, how is a marpe lashon an eitz chaim? And I guess I'll incorporate the other thing. Or I guess alternatively, what is the relationship? What relationship is being posited between the two? What relationship is being posited between the two? Yeah.
Do you need to have had the Marpe Lashon to be Shevi Ruach, or is even not having it Shevi Ruach?
Interesting. Let me just think if I understand your question.
Easily you had it and then it became corrupted or crooked or you lost it,
Uh-huh.
or is it just
Oh, okay,
having
okay.
Marpe Lashon?
Right. So I think, okay, I'm going to say the way I would ask your question. You tell me if you're asking a different question. Do you need the Marpe Lashon to be misaleth it? Is that a different question?
It was Misaleth.
Right. But you're saying that is it a selef of the Marpe Lashon, or is it like a selef of just, let's say, Lashon?
Right.
Yeah, okay, right. Yeah, and then that will result in whether it's Shever Baruch or not. Yeah, okay, fine. So is the ba referring to specifically to the Marpe Lashon or just a regular Lashon? Okay, in other words, is this a binary pasuk with only two possibilities, or is there an unstated middle possibility, which is, I'm going to call it neutral in relation to the extremes? Yeah, Sean?
What is a breaking in the spirit?
Right. Actually, let's split that into two. What does ruach mean in this context? So we have several translations, and then what is a shviras ruach?
Yeah, I was also asked who's the subject of the
Yeah.
spirit ruach.
Yeah. So who's I'll actually make that into a separate question. Whose ruach is this talking about? The speaker or the listeners? Yeah, I assume those are the only two possibilities.
Person being spoken about.
Or the person being spoken about, okay, or the person being spoken about. Harkening back to Chazal there, the Lashon Hara, right? Yeah. Selef Shever Ruach. Yeah, Ezra?
How are the two halves opposite?
Yeah.
Specifically like Marpe Lashon and then Breaking the Spirit
Right.
and Tree of Life and
Okay, right. So how are the two halves opposites, right? So Marpe and Shever, or I guess Marpe Lashon.
Self would be opposite.
So I don't know, because Selef Ba. Yeah, so let's hold on a second. Yeah, Selef.
That's what it's talking about.
Yeah, opposites.
Lashon.
Yeah, but even that is not the intuitive opposites, right? Because you're right.
But I would say
Right. That's what should be
more
opposites. Yeah.
intuitive opposites.
Yeah, right. And like I said, how are specifically how are Marpe Lashon and Selef opposites, and Eitz Chaim and Shviras, is it Shviras Ruach? Oh, Shever Baruch, yeah. Shever Baruch, opposites. Yeah, right. So in other words, you would expect, for example, Marpe, if Marpe means heal, then you would expect the opposite to be wound, or if Marpe is soften, then to a hard tongue. I don't know if that's weird. And then Eitz Chaim is like a botanical mushel, right, or arboreal mushel. And Shever Baruch, it seems to be talking about the literal reality. So it seems like a half mushel. Yeah, Ezra Koppel.
What's the
That'd be another annoying line there. Yeah.
Self Ba or Self Lashon, like a quickness in the tongue mean?
Yeah. So did we not ask what Selef meant? I guess we didn't. Right? Okay, fine. Yeah. What does Selef Selef Lashon mean? Yeah. Okay. I feel like those are the main things, other than obviously asking what is the practical application, which we do need to say, because I guess here we really do need to ask this also. What is the subject, and then what is the decision-making scenario? Is this talking about speech in general, or speech as applied to a specific context? Yeah, Ezra?
I have a little bit of a pun.
Yeah.
Who's the audience and who's the audience?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Who is the audience and who is the audience? Yeah. Okay. All right. I feel like those are the main questions, right? Are we missing anything? Marpe Lashon, Eitz Chaim. I guess we kind of have to ask, so what? Right? Like what exactly is the benefit and detriment in each half? It's kind of assuming Eitz Chaim is automatically good, but I kind of want to know more detail about that. So let's just say, so what? What is the benefit of Eitz Chaim, and what is the detriment of Shever Beruach? Yeah, Oren? Sorry, I can't
What
say
exactly
Shever
does
Beruach.
self mean? And by that I mean like how is this used in other contexts? Like do you know?
So let's just click on it and just see what we get with the
Yeah.
okay, so this is not going to do the I feel like we do have to look up Hazino. Oh, no, it's not Hazino. What it sells yeah, Shoftim. Yeah. The Salif Divrei Tzadikim.
Tough.
No, you're right.
Valid, I think.
Next one.
Yeah,
Oh, I went to Leah.
Test. No, yeah, see that.
Wait.
I don't know.
Yeah, this is right.
Oh, this is okay. Oh, did I click on the wrong thing? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can.
And then what did you? Which one did you say? Saleh.
It's before that.
Saleh. Oops, Saleh.
You're in Devarim now.
No, it's Devarim in Zion.
Yeah, okay.
Isn't it Mishpatim?
No.
Oh, maybe I think it's.
It's also it is also
Mishpatim.
Mishpatim. Yeah. All right, let's just look there.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
What 21, 22?
Yeah, I think it's right.
There we go. Bisela Tzadikim 23. Okay, so it's not used as much as I thought. Okay, so let's just look here. We've got Shofat lo tikach yashol avar pichim bisalif divrei tzadikim. So do not take a bribe because a bribe blinds the clever and corrupts righteous statements or principles. Lo sati mishpat, lo sati panim. Okay, and then it's similar. Then tzedakah titzor tam darach v'risha tisalef chatas. That's not going to help us very much. Evil corrupts sin offering. That's a very confusing puzzle. Ivelis anam tisalef darko v'al ad Hashem yizach libo. That's one of my favorite psukim. The foolishness of man perverts his path, but his heart rages against Hashem. Maskil tzadik l'veis rasha misalef rasha ilara. The tzaddik comprehends or brings success to the house of the Rasha. He corrupts the evil, the wicked to evil, towards evil. Eine Hashem natzuru da'as v'salif divrei boged. It's not really helping us so much. The eyes of Hashem guard knowledge, and it corrupts the words of a traitor. Molich kohanim sholal ve'isanim yasalef. Okay, that's a Eov. We're not going to touch that. Yeah. So corrupt, pervert. That's all we got. Yeah. Okay. All right. I feel like we got the main questions though. All right, ideas, approaches, half-baked intuitions. I definitely feel alter here, right? It seems like there's something missing or weird about the lashon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an approach. It feels easier for me if we're talking Eitz Chaim.
Yes.
To go with the lesson of healing tongue versus.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Healing is associated with life. Yeah.
But what exactly is implied by Eitz Chaim?
Right.
That's the hard.
Yeah. So it would actually probably be a good idea for us to look that up as well. Eitz Chaim. I can think of two cases. Right. So that's in Mishlei.
Okay.
And then the Eitz Chaim of Gan Eden, right? Are there other cases? I mean, I do think it shows up in Mishlei a couple times, but the one that people know because when we take the let's look at let's just make this a little bit closer. Eitz Chaim. I see your hand, Isaiah. Just one second. Eitz Chaim, Besokogan, and then Eitz Chaim. So all the ones in Bereshis Gimel are those Eitz Chaims. Okay, then we don't have this in Malachim. We don't have this here. Does it only show up in Mishlei again? Okay, so Mishlei we have. Okay, so what does everyone assume that the Eitz Chaim Hila Machazimba is talking about? Torah. Okay, right. So if you look in Mishlei, it is clear that it is talking about Chachma, because it says. Where is it? Where does it start? Right after. Yeah. Oh yeah. Hold on a second here. No. Where does it first mention? Yeah, good. Thank you. Ashrei Adam Matzah Chachma v'Adam Yafik Tefillah. That was the first pasuk I learned from Mishlei from Rabbi Gober. That happy or praiseworthy is the man who has found wisdom and a man who can derive understanding. Kitov Sahra Miskar Kasef Umecharos Tuosa. Its commerce is better than the commerce of silver, and its produce is better than fine gold. Yikar Himi Pninim B'chol Chavatach Aliyush Shvuva. It is more precious or valuable than corals, right? That's the updated translation of Pninim, because how do you translate Pninim usually?
Rubies.
Yeah, rubies or pearls, right? Rubies is it could be rubies. It's something red because the pasuk in Eichos is admu etzem mipninim. That is redder than pninim. So pninim are red, so they're not pearls unless you got like red dirt, which you don't have in Israel. Or only in Hawaii. Orech yamim bimina bismillah osher v'chavod. Length of days is at its right hand, at its left hand is wealth and honor. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. It is a tree of life to those who grasp it, and those who support it are happy or praiseworthy. So Rashi, of course, says that the Chachma here means Torah, but Plim Pshat in Mishlei is it's Chachma and Tevuna. Okay, so that's one case in Mishlei. Then you've got Pri Tzadik Eitz Chaim V'Lokeach Nefashos Chacham. The fruit of a tzaddik is a tree of life, and a murderer is a chacham. No, I'm just kidding. One who takes souls, okay, acquires souls as a chacham. Then you've got tocheles mimushacha machalas leiv eitz chaim tava ba'a. We did that one fairly recently, I think, over this summer. I don't know. Protracted hope is a sickness of the soul, but an eitz chaim when lust comes. Okay, that was a weird one. But there you see also, by the way, machala is being contrasted with eitz chaim also. So sickness and eitz chaim, and then you have our pasuk. Yeah, so I think I'm along with your intuition as well. Yeah, Isaiah?
I have an approach already.
Sure, go ahead.
So I think you don't.
Ooh, you muted yourself.
Oh, okay. Back?
Yep. Nope, you muted yourself again.
It's really weird. I don't know why that's happening, but I think it won't happen now. I think you don't have to pull alters moves, maybe. So the way I would learn this is that a soft tongue is like someone who's speaking in a way that's like soothing or consoling.
Yeah.
So that can be in eitz chaim. I guess it can like revitalize a person who is like in a state of emotional, like in a down state, like they're stressed or they're depressed or something like that. Like it can help them out. But if there are within that soft tongue, if there's in it like some sort of crookedness, like a personal objective for the person who's speaking, so then that like when you realize that what you thought was healing was actually like done for their own good, so then it becomes like it destroys the healing that was done and becomes like a bad thing.
Okay, I like that. So the person you're soothing realizes it, then that will lead to the opposite effect. Okay, that's a really good approach. Yeah, let's develop that. Yeah, that's
Sounds like mine and Rafa.
Yes. Okay. So I was gonna ask you what the raya is that this might be the approach. And so if you look earlier in our psukim, we had, and we might actually need to learn this cluster as a whole. We had the first pasuk in the parak, Mane Rach Yashi Chemo Dvar Etzav Yale'ah. A soft or gentle reply turns back wrath, but a provocative statement raises anger. Okay. And then we went a little bit into the way Chachamim talk. Lashon Chachamim Tetiv Das K'silim Yavia Ivelis. Then we had our pasuk B'chol Malcham Einei Hashem Tzofos Raim Tovim. Oh, you know what? This is actually also good. Did we read someone last week briefly who said that this means Hashem can see the motives that you have when you're speaking? No, maybe I read that. Okay, I'll have to look at that, but that would fit in really well with Isaiah's interpretation. Yeah, hold on just one second. I just want to make sure. Was it Rabbeinu Yonah who said that? No. And was it, wait, over Navala? Okay, I just want to look at one more place. The Malvin? No, that was not it either. Okay, fine. Yeah. All right. So yeah. Okay. So this is good. All right. So let's just dwell on this a little bit more. So first of all, can we explain the mechanism, how that works? So what is the mechanism of, and maybe also we have to get a little bit clearer what the quality of Marpei Lashon is. And by the way, this is a good example where it could be that it's deliberate ambiguity, that he means both. That if he wants to say a soft tongue can bring healing, then a poetic way of expressing that is marpe lashon eitz chaim, because you're almost just saying, in fact, you could just say marpe lashon, and that poetically has the idea of soft speech and healing speech, so we don't have to choose one or the other. How does that work? And let's see if we've got a clear idea of what quality brings about the eitz chaim feeling. Yeah, this is like by the way, this is like like from people say, like it's a real machaya, right? Like that's what people say, like it brings life, like that's the kind of life. Yeah, Moshe?
Right. Well, in terms of like a very vague or general concept,
Yeah.
I'd assume you'd be saying this to someone who's down in the dumps.
Yeah,
right? And when you when you say the right words to someone, you can get them to feel better and sometimes you can say the right words, it almost looks like you're reviving them, right? Like their face can light up at the right words. So in that sense, words can heal a person and even be a life source for them.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that's what eitz chaim could be.
Yeah, so I think that's a correct description of the decision-making scenario we're talking about. What I want to understand specifically is there a specific quality of the marpe lashon? Like if it means healing tongue, then I think it could apply to a lot of qualities. But Isaiah was saying it's like a soothing quality. And I just want to understand what that is and how it generates the eitz chaim. Yeah. Because by the way, I don't just want to understand this theoretically. In order to be able to do this, I think we need to know what it is that we're trying to do. Yeah.
So two things. So first, I think the marpe soothing specific. I think that it's not just like if somebody's sad. It's not, you don't soothe somebody who's sad. You soothe. People are soothed when like tensions are high. So that can be all sorts of things, like an argument between people, or somebody has something bad happening, or whatever. I think that's what marpe means.
Yeah.
I think the eitz chaim metaphor from the other psukim also, you can kind of see this. Especially thinking of you grab hold of it.
Yeah.
It seems like something that like people can like you rally around it and it gives you strength by holding on to it. So it's like you're tense. Yeah. Somebody says this thing, it's like, okay, now I have something I can grab onto to kind of reorient me and put me back into like a better frame of thought.
Yeah. I'm just smiling because that's in line with the theory of teshuvah I'm developing, which hopefully will be ready by Friday. But yeah. Okay, that's a good description. Yeah. I still feel like though I want to understand how it works.
What do you mean?
Meaning, what is the state in the person, and then what quality of speech changes that state, and how does it change that state? And I think this is where you have to draw on your own experience, where you either have been on the receiving or the giving end of this, and just ask like, what's going on internally? I'm
thinking like the person who's hearing this they can't think objectively right now.
Yeah,
because things are like there's just so much going on everywhere. Whatever. Yeah. You say something and it kind of cuts, or they hear something, it kind of cuts through all of that. Yeah. It's like, okay, now I have a pedestal on which to stand, through which I can evaluate what is going on.
Okay, so I think that is a possibility. So maybe what we have to do, I don't know if this is going to make things simpler or more difficult. We also have to think about the opposite side. If Isaiah is right, and the corruption, what is the corruption? And then how would that negate those effects? So for example, let's say you are struggling in your business, right? And you don't know what's going on, right? And like, you don't know, like, why is it that I'm suddenly losing money? And like, everything was going so smoothly. And let's say I come over to you and I give you some, like, I don't know, some perspective. Like I say, like, it's not your business. Everything in the economy is like going crazy, and like, so don't like freak out and view this as a personal failure or whatever. So now you're soothed. Okay, because now you have like a perspective to hold on to. But now let's say you find out that the only reason I was telling you this was because I want you to vote for my candidate, right? So does that actually change the soothing quality or not? Meaning I don't see why it should. So either you could say that it doesn't, or you could say that it does, but somehow, like, that's what I want to get into the nitty-gritty about. Yeah.
I would just think in that case, I think it would, like, in terms of, if you realize ahead ulterior motive.
Yeah.
That would stop civil quality. Maybe
Yeah.
like rationally it shouldn't.
Right.
But I think a person will.
So
be
why?
upset by that.
Why? Yeah. Yeah, that's what we need to figure out. Yeah. Or
Can the ba and Salaf ba be on the eighth chayim?
no, unfortunately
No?
not. Yeah, because we looked it up. 8 is masculine and ba is feminine. Whereas lashon is feminine. Yeah.
Maybe just one step as to why that is.
Yeah.
Is because a person generally when he's in that situation is not really looking to like rationally explain things such that it makes sense to him.
Yeah.
He's more looking for emotional comfort.
Yeah.
So really what the comfort is that maybe it's something like that somebody else cares for him,
Okay. Yeah.
as opposed to the fact that like his situation actually isn't his fault or something.
Right.
So once he realizes that person doesn't care for him, it's
Yeah.
true the reality shouldn't bother him
Right.
anymore, but he's still upset.
Okay, so I was thinking along the same lines. I'm going to put it in a slightly different way, and you tell me if you think there's a different idea here, or if I'm just like explaining it more. Is that what makes this kind of speech soothing, is that it is ego affirming, right? And makes the listener feel valued, noticed, significant, etc. Okay, in other words, you're saying like, like I see you, I empathize with you, I feel, I feel your pain in a Mishlei way. Yeah, okay, but if they see that you have an ulterior motive, so then they will feel the opposite of ego affirmed, because you're just treating them as an instrument for your own like benefit, not as a person, right? Yeah. So that's why I think it can negate. So in other words, when the contents of what you say, the contents of what you say are only the means by which you lift up their spirit. So it's easy to ignore those contents if they see that you're not lifting up their spirit, so that's why I can reverse. And by the way, I think this is a good for the opposites as well, because Eitz Chaim is this feeling of the ruach being, like lifted up, and the Sheva ruach, yeah, I mean, I feel like Eitz Chaim had a different place in people's psyche back then than we have. Like you would never be like, let's say you eat something enjoyable, you would never be like, oh, this is what a tree of life. Like it's just like a weird phrase, but maybe to someone, maybe in a society where people really did view the fruit that they eat as connected with trees, and they're like, oh, like this is a source of like of continued life, like then you'd feel it differently. Yeah, Moshe?
And based on what you're saying, right? I'm just thinking of what happens if you have the opposite effect, where someone, your intentions and actions are showing that they care about you, but the words they saying are vile, right? Like if they come down and sit next to you when you're feeling sad, and they say, yeah, you're a loser, you're just pathetic.
Right.
I'm thinking about that because that's
Yeah.
like in films and movies, and the characters themselves often feel very confused.
Yeah.
The reason for that is because it looks like they're receiving care. It's
Yeah.
just not the care that they imagine, because the words themselves are different.
Right.
And that's why they're
Right. So I guess the question here is, I why am I focusing more on the manner? Yeah, I also feel like this really is related to the first pasuk in the parak with the harsh, the gentle reply and the harsh reply. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. I mean, it's possible that this is not talking specifics. Maybe this is maybe the Marbei Lashon we could just characterize as catering your speech to make them feel affirmed. So that could be through the contents or through the manner or through the context. Sometimes it's the well, if you want to go with what do you call it, with AP English language here, or rhetoric, right? So you've got the ethos, the pathos, logos, and then the one that they don't teach you about, kairos, right? So ethos, it could be that the soothing comes from who you are and the fact that they view you in a certain way, where you merely talking to them and addressing them gives them comfort, which I feel like hopefully we've all had that experience where like someone, it's not even at all about what they say, but you just remember that someone talked to you, and based on who they are, then you have this feeling. It could be through the pathos, through the emotions that it awakens in you. It could be through the logos, through the content. And then kairos means the timing, is that you can, if you want to prove whether there's a bit of a debate in rhetoric, whether kairos exists or whether it's a function of the other three. But if you think about a case where someone said to you something that it was the right person, the right emotion, and the right content, but if they had said it at a different time, it would not have had that effect. That to me is an argument that timing is its own factor, or context. Okay, this is a good approach. Let's set this aside. I think this is like full or near full of an idea. And let's take another approach. Yeah, Sean.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we use Eitz Chaim as Chachma like it was in the other sukkah.
Yeah.
Can we say that then that's describing the Marpei Lashon, meaning part of the quality of a healing tongue is that it needs to be grounded within truth.
Okay.
And then once there's crookedness in, you could say something nice, but if it's crooked in like the advice because it's not grounded in truth, and ultimately the person's going to feel better for a short time and then follow it, but then it's going to ultimately lead them to a path that's going to crush them even more.
Okay, good.
Sometimes I think there's a desire for a person to like say something nice to make them feel better, and like it helps them in the short term, but in the long term it just sets them up for
that's a good example. So I think a lot of this applies when people are going through something bad, or like they're in Veilus or something like that. People say the stupidest things in order to try to bring comfort in the immediate, but if it's not rooted in truth, then it's gonna either there's a level right now where they realize that it's not true, or they're gonna be disillusioned. They're gonna believe it, and then they're gonna be disillusioned when it turns out to be false, or when they realize it's false. Yeah, that's a good approach also. Yeah, that's good with Eitz Chaim. So yeah, so this is I feel like this is a nice dichotomy here, right? So we got Eitz Chaim as the positive corollary of Shever Beruach, or Eitz Chaim as the corollary of Selachba, I think, right? In other words, Eitz Chaim, like Sadion said, it's a tongue of truth, and that's the opposite of corruption in the tongue. Okay, good. I like that. We got our bases covered. Okay, should we see? Anyone have any different ideas, or should we start looking at meforshim? All right, let's start looking at meforshim. Let's look at the Metzudas David. I'm just going to use the one on the old Al Torah. Okay. Marpei Lashon, Mi Shelashono Refuya, someone whose speech is soft, V'lo Yidaber Kashos, and does not speak harshly, V'rak Yidaber Rakos, but he only speaks softly. Okay, that's harkening back to Ma'anei Rach. He lo le'etz hamagadel chayim. It is for him like a tree that promotes life, or like grows, that promotes growth. Aval hama'akim b'lashono l'daber kashos, but someone who twists or corrupts or crookedifies his tongue to speak harshly, ba shever b'ritzono, then a breaking will come to his ratzon. He lo yikubal davarav, because his words will not be accepted. V'lo yimula. I feel like that's not a real grammatical structure. Yimula ritzono mula. Yeah, he will not. It will not fulfill his desire. Okay, so he's. It's
not a normal one.
Yeah, yimale ritzono. That's how I would have said it. Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna actually write this and put the translation here, just so we could like look and talk about it. So Metzudas David. Okay, hold on just 1 second here. And Metzudas David. Okay, so let's just translate this again. So someone whose speech is soft, and he doesn't speak harshly, but only speaks gently. This will be a tree for him. This will be for him a tree that promotes growth and life. I'm just gonna say growth and life. But one who corrupts, or who I think crookedifies is the best, right? Akum, right? Who crookedifies, not a real word, crookedifies his speech to speak harshly, ba shever b'ritzono, a breaking will come to his own spirit. Ki lo yikubal davarav, for his words will not be accepted, and his desire will not be fulfilled. Yeah. So what is it saying here?
It's all
for him. Yeah. Person. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, does he? Oh, sorry, not Metzudas David. Does he get this from like? Can we see where he gets this from in the pasuk? Is there anything in the pasuk that indicates it is only talking about the effect on the guy? Motion Eitz Chaim. I don't quite see anything. I'm not saying that is a problem. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, whenever it said like the ruchlo, in case.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that would have been clearer, right? Okay, yeah. So what is his idea here? So here he is talking about tone, right? And it seems to be that he's not talking about necessarily a specific instance. It could be that he's talking about how you speak in general, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like we all know people who generally speak gently, you know? I mean, thinking around here, I mean, I think Rav Pesach generally has a Ma'aneh Rach type way of talking. Dave Markowitz has a Ma'aneh Rach type way of talking. You know, I don't. You know, yeah, was it?
You don't know Rav Ashi, bro.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. So I think picture a person who's like that, and then picture another person who can tend to have a like they say harif type talk. You know, and that's going to lead to this other effect. Yeah.
Are we just talking about like the manner of their speech?
I think we're just talking about the
or
manner.
are we talking about like the way, like the type of speech that they do?
What do you mean by type?
Like
I mean,
content?
not content, but I feel like one is just like their voice sounds pleasant.
Yeah.
Or are they like a gentle person when they speak, or are they like a critical person?
That's a good question. I mean, I get the impression that he is talking about just the manner of their speech. It might be accompanied by the manner of body language and other things as well, or other but I think just the emphasis also on the tongue, the lashon rach, and yedaber kashos, speaking harshly. I feel like that's what we should focus on.
Saying like a sharp tongue doesn't literally refer to like their speech. Is more like they're like fighting words against you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to completely separate the two because people are gonna, you know, for example, you can have a coach, you know, who speaks harshly to one of his players, and the player knows that it's coming from a place of love, and he doesn't take it like that, you know. But yeah.
Not from in the pasuk, but maybe one thing that's pushing for this kind of interpretation.
Yeah.
Is that is maybe more Mishlei. Like for our ideas, you could just say, well, why does the person who's saying these things care? Like, okay, that guy won't get the consolation he wants. That doesn't affect me.
Right.
If you're being like really Mishlei about it, but this does.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Because here he's saying you're not going to get what you want if this is how you talk with people.
Right.
And so it's in your best interest to not speak in a way that's harsh. It's going to turn people off. I mean, I'm just going to suggest something here just as a partial approach. And I'm kind of getting this from what we said for the first pasuk, is we did say that that there is you could put someone in a defensive mode by speaking in a way that is reminiscent of an attacker. You know, like when you speak harshly to someone, even if what you're saying, if the content is not an attack, the emotions perceive it as an attack. You know, if I like, it's kind of like you know, the way people talk to their pets who don't understand human language. You could be saying really sweet things, but yelling at them, and they'll react as an animal psyche does to the tone, you know, or you could be saying, you're such a little idiot, you know, and they'll respond to your tone, right? So I think that part of us, you know, I don't know enough about neurology to say like what part of the brain is like activated, but I feel like there is a part of the brain that is like more primal, that does not really care as much about the words and just hears the tone and views this, you know, is this a foe or a friend, and puts them on edge. So if you're constantly speaking harshly, then you're just decreasing the odds that people will be receptive to what you're saying. Yeah.
So I happen to know an example that's like kind of contrary to that.
Yeah.
There's someone I know who 10 months of the year speaks softly, and then for 2 months when he like runs a camp, he like has like a raspy, loud, like scary voice, eyes.
That's
and,
interesting.
Like, just like kind of creates fear in every single person he talks to.
That's interesting. That's good enough communication with Sean, right? With the is it your general manner of interacting with people, or is it the particular talking? You know, yeah, that's interesting. So what how would you say that plays out in the pasuk?
I'm just saying that it doesn't really it doesn't fit because like I mean, I guess you could say that if he spoke softly during those 2 months, then like who knows what would have happened.
Yeah.
But I think like because he spoke harshly, maybe people don't view him as like a warm
Right.
person, but like he gets things done.
Yeah,
So,
right. Right. There's a cost. There's a cost. Yeah.
And maybe the case
Yeah.
with Metzudas David is like between equals,
Yeah.
right? Like between two friends or whatever, but an authority figure, this might not be true.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It could be that with an authority figure, the authority itself allows their ratzon to be fulfilled in a different way. Yeah. All right. Let's stop here for today. One thing, just a matter of bookkeeping here, which is that I always forget to announce this in the beginning.